Hi there, welcome to Jujubee DIY. I'm Sarah. Thanks so much for joining me today. Today is 4th Friday Challenge. The theme is summer and I've chosen to do a few more 4th of July projects. So let's get started. For our first project here, we're going to take a couple of these signs I picked up from the Dollar Tree a while back. I just really liked that they kind of had that shiplap look, and I took off that love sign, took off the hanger off of the bottom one, but left the hanger on the top one. I'm going to glue these together using some wood glue and hot glue, and this will just make a bigger sign for us here. So I'll just glue those together, let that sit, painted it white, and now I'm going to go in with some of this Hello Hobby Cafe Noir color. It's like a dark brown and a small paintbrush, and I'm going to just go into those grooves to make them stand out. After that was dry, now I'm going to go in with some Waverly chalk paint in the color Mineral and a dry chip brush, and I'm just going to do some distressing, just running that chip brush right over those boards just to distress them and make them look a little more vintage. And that's kind of the look I'm going for my 4th of July decor this year, is kind of that farmhouse, rustic, vintage look. So this fits perfectly. Now I have this happy 4th of July sign. I picked this up from 24 Hour Crafts, and I am going in with a pencil just to mark out where I want my top letters to be. So as you can see, it's kind of all put together in one wood piece, but I'm going to paint each of these words a different color, and so I'm just going in with my pencil to create those lines. And you'll see what I'm kind of talking about maybe here in just a few minutes. And then I'm just going to kind of roughly show you that I'm doing the happy of in red, and then the 4th and July in the blue color. So I'll paint that up. And as you can see, like on the 4th there, that is like sitting on top of the H, and that's what I was doing with the pencil. So now going in with a paint pen, I'm going to do some dashes and dots all the way around. And here's how it looks when it's all finished. So I'm just kind of getting an idea of where I'm going to place my wood sign onto my board here. And now I'm going to take some of the nautical twine in red and blue, and I'm going to wrap those around the top and the bottom just a couple times, like 3 or 4 times in each color. And I'll just secure it to the back with a little hot glue. Once that's complete, then I'm going to just hot glue down my happy 4th of July. And then I found this really cute ribbon in the nautical section at the Dollar Tree this year and knew I had to pick it up for 4th of July. I made just a simple bow here, and I'm going to hot glue that to the corner. And that pretty much completes this project. I like how festive and rustic this piece turned out to be. So as I mentioned before, today is the 4th Friday Challenge. I host this challenge with my friend Lisa from Our Gray House, and our special guest host this month is Tammy from the Rusted Willow. I'll leave their links in my description box down below, along with the playlist. We have many creators joining us today with lots of great summer ideas and decor, so definitely check out that playlist, click it, and see what everyone else is creating for today. For our second DIY, we're going to use one of these tag signs I picked up from the Dollar Tree. I think I picked this one up last year, but I have seen them this year at the Dollar Tree as well. If you can't find this exact one, just pick up any tag sign you can find, and that will work out perfect. So I'm going to cover the front of our tag with some of this brown packing paper from the Dollar Tree. I'm just going to hot glue it on. I wasn't going to worry about the glitter and the paper, so I'm just going to cover that up, and I'll make the back of the sign now my front. I'm going to paint this portion of the sign with white chalk paint. Then I'm going to go in with some Waverly chalk paint in Mineral, and I'll distress the whole board. After that's dry, I'm going to go in with some white chalk paint and just soften everything up. Again, this is just a dry chip brush, and it just makes everything look soft and nice. Then I took a pencil and a ruler and just made some faux shiplap lines with my pencil. Now we're going to use some of these longwood arrows from the Dollar Tree. I'm not sure that the Dollar Tree is actually carrying these anymore. I can't find them. I looked the other day and I couldn't find them at my Dollar Tree. So you'll have to let me know if you've seen them at your Dollar Tree. If you can't find them at Dollar Tree, go check out 24 Hour Crafts. You'll probably find them there, no problem. Then I also had this other arrow from the Dollar Tree. I just cut off those feathers with a box knife to make it a regular arrow shape. Now I painted one of the larger arrows with the blue paint, one in red, and then I was going to add these stars on top, but they were a little too thick for me, so I decided that I was just going to trace around them. These came from the Dollar Tree at Christmas time, and I just traced them, and now I'm going to use a paint marker to paint in those stars. And I do actually end up adding more stars. You can make whatever pattern and add as many stars as you want for your sign here. Now I added a little bit of washi tape just underneath the top part of the arrow here, and I'm going to paint the top white. And I'll do that also with the red arrow. So you'll paint the tops of both of the colored arrows with white. Now I am going to use one of these sponge brushes from the Dollar Tree. This is like the biggest one that they have. It's like a 3-pack that these little round sponge brushes come in. I'm just going to dip that in the paint. I'll stamp that on to my red arrow. If you don't get it quite right the first time, just go back in, swirl it a little bit as you pull up, and it'll make a perfect circle. So this is a great way to make circles if you are not great at making them freehand, or if you don't have a stencil of any kind. Then I'll just go in with a regular paintbrush and just make sure that everything is nice and even and filled in. Now I want to add some stripes to the tops of my arrows. So I'm going to use some washi tape to do this. You can use any low tack tape that you would like. I prefer washi tape because of the sizes that it comes in. It is a little bit smaller than like painter's tape, and I think makes a perfect size. So I'm going to add a stripe of washi tape, add a second strip of washi tape, and then I'll pull that first one off. And I'll use that piece as my marker, and I'll just keep going up until I have completed my stripes. Here's a couple pro tips when using a washi tape. Make sure your painted surface is really dry. Just using a heat tool isn't going to get it dry enough. You're going to need to let it sit for a couple hours or even overnight. Then when you press that washi tape into your painted surface, use your fingers and go over it a few times. The heat from your fingers will heat up the glue just a little bit, make it a little more sticky, and give you extra barrier protection so that it'll bleed the least amount as possible. Then using a makeup sponge, add light layers. I usually have to go in 3 or 4 times to get the opaqueness that I want. All right, so now for this arrow, I wanted to create some diagonal stripes. So I put a piece of washi tape down in just a random diagonal that I liked. And then I'm going to go in with a little bit smaller piece of washi tape. The black is probably 1/4 inch and the silver is going to be about 1/8 inch. But you can use whatever sizes you want. If you want them to be all the same size, you can definitely do that. It's your project and up to you how you want it to look. So I'm going to continue adding in my washi tape, and then I'm going to do every other stripe in blue, and then I will go in and fill in the rest of the stripes that are left white with red. So then when I pull off that black washi tape, I will have red, white, and blue stripes. And again, I'm just pouncing that makeup sponge up and down as straight as possible. I don't want to add any paint underneath my tape as much as possible. So we get pretty clean lines when we do this method. However, sometimes it does bleed underneath. You can't help it. You just go in with some more white paint or a paint marker and just fix those boo-boos. So now to add in those little details I love, I am taking a black paint marker and I'm going to go inside the white circles and then outside the white circles. So I am creating kind of a broken line inside with a couple little dots and then just going around the very outside edge. And it's a little bit harder to see that outside edge on camera, but in real life, it does stand out pretty nicely. Now I'm going to go in with a white paint marker and I'll just do some dots and dashes along the whole kind of outside edge where there isn't any circles. So I am using a couple of different paint pens. I will link them down below. They are both great. I like the Posca paint pens because they are nice and opaque, but this one I'm using, I can't remember what it's called. It's from Michael's. Is really actually a pretty nice paint pen. The nib on it is a little bit bigger than the ultrafine Posca paint pen, but it is pretty good. And a little bit cheaper than the Posca paint pens. But sometimes Michael's does carry the Posca paint pens. At least my Michael's carries the open stock Posca paint pens, and they do go on sale from time to time. So they were $3.99 the last time I was in. And I think I had they were on sale actually for, I want to say 40% off, 30% off, something like that. So you can find them on sale. So I'll go in on this blue one and do kind of the same thing that I did for the red one, just using those white to dash dot around the whole entire outside edge, and then taking the black one and doing some rough tracing on the stars. And then I will just add some little dots to the inside of the stars in pair or like threes, not pairs. They wouldn't be pairs because pairs are two, in threes. And I just love how the black lines around the stars are not perfect. You can see them not being exactly on the outside edge. And I just really like that look. So you can do like I did, or you can just trace right around the stars if you'd like, or not add any of that at all. Now taking a black paint marker for this arrow, I'm just going to go around and do dash dot dots all the way around. Now it's assembly time. I'm going to add my arrows to the front of my tag sign, and because I'm overlapping one arrow on top of the other, I needed to add a little shim underneath. So just using some paint sticks or craft sticks, you can just add as many as you need to create that shim. And then I'm going to glue these down. I'm going to use hot glue and wood glue to secure these in place. That way, this plans to be a door decoration, and I don't want that hot glue to melt in case it gets crazy hot. We don't normally get too hot here in the Pacific Northwest, but you never know. And then I'm going to add the smaller arrow on top of the other two. So you can get creative with this, make it your own, and place your arrows however you want. And if you haven't guessed yet, we are making little rockets. So these arrows are turning into rockets. I'm going to use some of this floral wire from the Dollar Tree. It is red, which I thought was perfect for this part of the project. And this wire is super bendy. Like it's very pliable. So I'm going to cut off a bit of it and I'm going to wrap it around something round. And before that, I had taken my little hand drill there and I drilled very carefully in the center of each of those arrows so I can stick this wire into the bottom of the arrows. Now, if you don't want to do that, you can always glue these to the back of the arrows and that would be fine too. So either way will work. Now, I am using hot glue here because video purposes, right? I strongly suggest that you use like E6000 or some sort of a very strong glue to hold these in place. Off camera, I used some of the white nautical rope from the Dollar Tree and I hot glued that all the way around the outside edge of the tag just to finish it off. Now I'm going to add a hanger. I cut off a length of that same rope and I folded it in half. I'm going to insert the loop from front to back, pull up the loop and make a lark's knot. And when I was gluing the nautical rope around my tag sign, I made sure that it ended up at the top underneath where that loop was going to be. So everything is nice and finished and you don't see any of those loose ends. And then I'll just tie off the top there. After looking at the sign, it wasn't done. So I went looking around in my stash and I found this window cling and I thought this will work perfectly. After looking around again in my stash, I found a wood plank that I got from the Dollar Tree, one of the rectangle ones. I cut it in half and it made the perfect square. I painted it white and then I'm just going to Mod Podge that window cling right on top. I love to add window clings to different projects like this. They're so versatile and you don't just have to use them for windows. So I'm going to add a layer of Mod Podge on top to seal it in. And then I added some macrame cord around the outside edge of my sign to finish it off. If you don't have macrame cord, you can always use the cotton twine from the Dollar Tree that you can find in the automotive section, or you can use baker's twine. Whatever you'd like, you can use here. If you don't want to put anything on the outside edge, you don't have to do that either. It will look super cute either way. Now, taking more of that ribbon that I used in the first project, I made another simple bow, and I'm just going to hot glue this right to our little arrow. And that, my friends, completes this super adorable sign that you can hang on your front door or anywhere you would like. I just really love how this one turned out, and I know that this will be on display at my house for years to come. So I want to give a quick shout out to Corey from Crafted by Corey. Last month, I was not able to do the 4th Friday Open Challenge, and so I missed out with Corey, but I just really want to encourage you to go check her channel out if you haven't yet. She's amazing. I'll link her down below. All right, for our third and final DIY of the day, we're going to use fabric for this part of the project. I picked up some fat quarters from Walmart. You don't need too much fabric here, but you're going to need quite a few of these strips. So I cut them down to 6.5 by 1/2 inch, and then I'm going to go around each of the edges and pull off some of the threads just to make them look a little more rustic and weathered. So this part of the project is a little more tedious, but you can definitely do this while you're watching TV, or if you'd like, I'll link a playlist up above and you can just watch a playlist and do this and it'll go by in no time. For my project, I used the red and white polka dot, plain red and plain white. Now we're going to use one of these wood rings from the Dollar Tree. They come, I think, in a 5-pack, and I used all 5 of them, but you can use as many as you want. But we're going to fold our fabric in half, make a loop on one side, and then pull the ends through the loop to make that lark's knot. Now, it doesn't matter which way you go, but you want to be consistent in whatever way it is. So if you have your loop on the left side, then you want to make sure your loop is always on the left side. And if you have it on the right side, then you want to make sure it's always on the right side, because you'll notice that your knot will look different if you do it from different sides. So in order for it to look consistent and look clean and finished, you want to make sure you're just getting that knot on the same side. And then you'll just keep going around. I did 10 red and 10 white. So on this one, I did like a red, white, red polka dot, white, and did that whole pattern all the way around. But ultimately, I used 20 strips in all. And then I'm just going to kind of freehand these and make them into more of a circle. So if you need to make a template for yourself, you can do that as well. I just freehanded it because I wasn't too concerned about it being super perfect. Now I cut some blue and white fabric. So this one has stars on it, and then I did a blue and white stripe as a variation. And I cut them into 4 by 4 inch squares. And then I just kind of rounded it off to make it a little bit easier to glue the back side down. So I'm going to place the fabric on the back face down, so the nice side is down, and then I'll add some of the polyfill inside. So you can use cotton balls here if you don't have polyfill. You can use an old pillow, whatever you'd like to fill the center of your flower with, you are more than welcome to add. And then I'm just going to hot glue all those edges down so that it holds that polyfill in and looks nice from the back. And then I'll just kind of play around, making sure that it's setting the way I want. You might have to add a little hot glue around the center, but you know, it's pretty easy and they come together pretty quick. And here are my variations. Now I wanted to finish off the back of the flower and make sure that that blue piece didn't go anywhere. So I cut out a circle that would cover the back. And I'm just going to hot glue that down. However, after doing this, I realized that I probably should have put my skewer down first and then my piece of paper to finish it off, but I didn't. So now you get to learn from my mistakes. Put your skewer down first and then put that piece of paper down to finish it off. But that's okay. Well, I'll just add another piece of paper over the top, a little extra work, but it'll be fine. So I'm just going to make sure everything's secure with hot glue here. Now to style my flowers, I had this white milk bucket that I picked up from, I think Michael's on clearance a couple years ago. And I just added a window cling to it because it's got that nice shiny surface. The window cling stuck perfectly and I can change it out for each season. Added some rocks to the vase, added my flowers in, and voila, super cute. So that is all I have for you guys today. Thank you so very much for watching. I hope that you will let me know in the comments down below which project was your favorite from today. And I hope that you go check out today's playlist. Have a happy, healthy, and blessed day, and I will see you on the next video. Bye!